Hi there, how are you? Me again. So it is I believe it's May 6th. Yep, today it is Wednesday, May 6th. And it is springtime, but if you're here where I live in Virginia, the weather's been a little bit cooler than usual for spring. But I still thought it would be fun to read a book to you about something that happens in spring, and that is when birds make nests and lay eggs. This one is kind of a silly one, though. So, this is a fiction book, which means it is fake. It's just a silly story, and it is called The Best Nest. Oh, that rhymes. The best nest. Let's see if there's any more rhyming in here. All right. Okay. Do you see the birds there? I don't know. What do you think? They look a little worried to me. Maybe even tired. Let's find out what's going on with these birds in the best nest. It looks like there's a nest there in the mailbox. Is that where a bird's nest should be? Mr. Bird was happy. He was so happy he had to sing. This was Mr. Bird's song. I love my house. I love my nest. In all the world, my nest is best. So he's super happy. How about Mrs. Bird down there? Does she look very happy inside there? Then Mrs. Bird came out of the house. It's not the best nest, she said. I'm tired of this old place, said Mrs. Bird. I hate it. Let's look for a new place right now. She looks pretty serious. I don't like that word she used, though. So they left the old place to look for a new one. This place looks nice, said Mr. Bird. Let's move in here. Do you see the hole in the tree? Did he notice? He thinks that would be a good place. But somebody else had already moved in. So they looked for another house. This one looks nice, said Mr. Bird, and there's nobody in it. He sees this old boot. Is that supposed to be a bird's nest? You're wrong, said Mrs. Bird. This house belongs to a foot. I guess that's one way to think of a shoe. A house for a foot. Okay, off they go. So they went on looking. I like this one, said Mr. Bird. It has a pretty red flag on the roof. Oh, he's talking about that mailbox. I've always wanted a house with a flag, said Mrs. Bird. Maybe this place will be all right. What's coming down the road over here? Here comes the mail truck. Oh no. But it was not all right. I guess I made a mistake, said Mr. Bird. That was a surprise for them. Probably a surprise for the mail carrier, too. You make too many mistakes, said Mrs. Bird. I'm going to pick the next house. And here it is, right here. Do you see where they're flying in here? What's going to be in there? What do you think? Oh, do you see what it is? They flew in. They looked around. Isn't it too big? Asked Mr. Bird. I like this big place, said Mrs. Bird. This is the place. This is the place to build our new nest. What is this? That's a giant bell. What do bells do? They went right to work. They needed many things to build their nest. First, they got some hay. All right, they're getting some hay. They got some soda straws and broom straws. They got some sweater string. I don't think that boy looks too happy about that. Look at the girl with her straw in her drink. They got some stocking string. That's another word for socks. And mattress stuffing. They got some horse hair. They got some man hair. Soon they had all the hay, all the straw, all the string, all the stuffing, all the horsehair, and all the manhair they could carry. They took it all back to build their nest. Wow, their beaks are full. Mr. and Mrs. Bird worked very hard. It took them the rest of the morning to finish their nest. This nest is really the best, said Mrs. Bird. I want to stay here forever. They sure worked hard on that nest. I don't know about that bell, though. Mr. Bird was very happy, too. He flew to the top of the house. He sang his song again. I love our house. I love our nest. In all the world, our nest is best. He was so busy singing, he didn't even see Mr. Parker coming. I wonder what Mr. Parker's going to do. So they're inside this. Look at this is called the steeple. This is the church, and that's the steeple where the bell is at. Oh no, I see what might be coming in a couple pages. Every day at 12 o'clock, Mr. Parker came to the church. Mr. Parker came to pull a rope. The rope went up to the bird's new nest. Look at him pulling. Takes a lot of strength, it looks like. The rope rang the big bell right under Mrs. Bird's nest. Bong, bong, bong. Mrs. Bird got out of there as fast as she could fly. Look, it keeps going. Bong, 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 bong. When Mr. Bird came in, all he could see was a mess of hay and string and stuffing and horsehair and manhair and straws. Where was Mrs. Bird? Where do you think she went? She was probably pretty scared. I will look for her until I find her, said Mr. Bird. He looked high, he looked low, he looked everywhere for Mrs. Bird. He looked down into a chimney, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. Well, that's a good thing. There's a lot of smoke coming out of that chimney. He looked down into a water barrel, but Mrs. Bird wasn't there. Where's he going to look next? What do you think? These pages are sticking. Then he saw a big fat cat. There was a big fat smile on the fat cat's face. There were some pretty brown feathers near the fat cat's mouth. Mr. Bird began to cry. Oh dear, he cried. This big fat cat has eaten Mrs. Bird. Oh no. Mr. Bird flew off. I'll never see Mrs. Bird again, he cried. It was getting dark. It began to rain. It rained harder and harder. Mr. Bird could not see where he was going. That's a big storm he's flying into. Crash! Mr. Bird bumped into something. What did he bump into? It was his old house. That old house that Mrs. Bird hated. I'll go inside, said Mr. Bird. I'll rest here until the rain stops. You? Here? Oh. Mr. Bird went in, and there was Mrs. Bird sitting there singing, I love my house, I love my nest, in all the world, this nest is best. She made her way back to their first house. You? Here? Gasped Mr. Bird. I thought you hated this old nest. I think she changed her mind after that crazy bell. Mrs. Bird smiled. I used to hate it, she said, but a mother bird can change her mind. You see, there's no nest like an old nest for a brand new bird. Look at that. She laid an egg. And when the egg popped open, the new bird thought so too. Now they have a baby. All right. So maybe you have heard some little baby birds in a nest near your house, and that would be a neat thing to see, wouldn't it? I have a friend who lives far away in a state called Montana, and she has a duck living outside of her kitchen window, and the duck has laid, I think it's 8 eggs so far. So that's pretty neat, and hopefully they'll get to see when the ducks hatch, the little ducklings, and when they wander off to their new home. So I hope you're seeing some fun new things in springtime, and I hope that you're having a good day or night or morning or whenever it is that you're watching this. Hug your family and be kind, and I'll see you soon. I love you and I miss you. Bye.